Ben didn't mean to think that, but the alien girl across from him suddenly froze, then whispered his exact dirty thought back to him, word for word. He panicked, apologized, wanted to die on the spot, but she just smiled. Slow, dangerous, and amused, because buried inside the thought was something she wasn't supposed to sense. And in the next 10 seconds, both of their lives and the fate of half the galaxy would start to unravel. The transport bay of the alien vessel Aurora's Mercy hummed with unfamiliar machinery, glowing conduits pulsing like veins beneath metallic floors. Ben Olsen stood alone by a stack of crates, arms crossed, trying not to look like a soldier who had just lost both his ship and his dignity. His armor felt heavier than usual, maybe because his pride had taken the first hit. He rubbed his forehead, hoping the throbbing behind his eyes would settle. It didn't. Great, he muttered. Stranded in alien space with a migraine that wants me dead. A soft voice drifted toward him. Head pain, and something else. Ben opened one eye and froze. She stood just a few steps away. Blue skin with a faint inner glow. Hair like molten copper falling in waves. Eyes bright, intelligent, almost too aware. She tilted her head, studying him with the careful curiosity of someone reading more than body language. Are you all right? She asked. Yeah, just a headache, he replied, trying to sound casual. She stepped closer, reached up gently, and placed her fingertips against his temple. Her touch was cool, almost soothing. The headache dissolved instantly, like someone had exhaled the pain out of him. Ben blinked. Wow, that's impressive. Luxura's expression shifted, her eyes narrowing with a mix of surprise and amusement. You know, she said, her voice lower now. Most humans try not to think things that loudly. What? Ben asked. She repeated his private thought back to him, every inappropriate detail. The one he absolutely never intended anyone, especially an alien medic, to ever hear. His entire body went rigid. I didn't mean it, just reflex. I swear I wasn't. Luxor smirked, a small teasing curve of her lips. Relax. Your species broadcasts emotions like flares. It's almost charming. Ben wanted to crawl into the nearest airlock, but before he could respond, Luxura's expression shifted again, this time sharper. Her gaze flicking upward as if listening to something distant. You felt that, she whispered. Felt what? Ben asked. A tremor rippled through the air, soft, vibrating, almost like a silent scream brushing the edges of their minds. Ben staggered. Luxor steadied him, her voice tightening. That wasn't your headache, she said quietly. Someone or something just pushed a telepathic pulse across light years. She looked toward the dark corridor ahead, her smirk gone, replaced by concern. And it wasn't friendly. Ben followed Luxor through the winding corridors of the Aurora's Mercy, trying very hard not to think anything embarrassing. An effort he was failing at spectacularly. Every time one of those thoughts slipped, Luxura's shoulders twitched just slightly, like she was fighting to smile. You know, she said without turning, humans are adorable when they panic. I'm not panicking, Ben said. He was absolutely panicking. They entered a wide passage filled with warm light and soft humming plants lining the walls, glittering leaves shifting subtly as if reacting to movement. A few crew members glanced up. Some stared outright. To them, Ben was probably a wild animal someone decided to bring inside. Luxor noticed and leaned in just a bit. They've never met a human. Don't worry, they're just curious. About what? My species. My armor. Ben asked. She looked at him, eyes glinting. Your thoughts, mostly. He groaned. Please stop saying that. Then please stop thinking so loudly. Despite himself, he laughed. She did too. The tension eased, if only slightly. Luxor guided him into the ship's communal hub, a spacious room with fluid architecture, soft gradients of light, an alien crew speaking in harmonies instead of normal conversation. Ben felt underdressed in full combat armor among creatures wearing robes and breathable skin suits. What exactly do you do on the ship? Ben asked, taking in the surprisingly peaceful environment. We travel, research, trade, and occasionally rescue stubborn humans from broken ships, she replied. I'm the medical officer. I heal bodies and sometimes minds. Ben caught that shift in her tone, soft but loaded. Before he could ask, she stiffened the same way she had in the cargo bay. Her glowing eyes dimmed, focusing far beyond the room. There it was again. A faint tremor. Not heard, not seen, felt. Ben stepped closer. Lux, she grabbed his wrist. Heart, something's wrong. The lights faltered. A quiet ripple moved through the ship like reality itself exhaled sharply. Crew members jerked upright as a wave of psychic pressure washed through the corridors. Ben didn't feel pain this time, just a strange tightening around his mind. Like invisible fingers searching through thoughts that weren't theirs, Luxor inhaled sharply. They're scanning us, looking for something. For me. The ship's alarms began to cry out, a rising whine echoing off the walls. Ben reached instinctively for his weapon. Who is? Luxor swallowed, backing toward him. A species that shouldn't be anywhere near this region. She looked at him, fear finally breaking through her calm. Wade. They found me. And the lights went out. Darkness swallowed the hallway as the ship's systems flickered, struggling to stay alive. Emergency strips along the floor glowed faint orange, casting long, uncertain shadows. Ben's hand instinctively moved to his sidearm, not that it would help against an enemy that attacked minds instead of bodies. Luxor steadied herself on his arm, her breath shallow. They're not simply scanning anymore. They're pinpointing. Who are they? Ben whispered. She hesitated. A faction of telepaths called Ascendants. They believe emotion is weakness, and any species with uncontrolled psychic potential is harvestable. Harvestable? Ben tightened his grip on her shoulder. That better be a translation issue. It's not. The alarms cut abruptly, replaced by eerie silence. Captain Rellis's voice crackled through the intercom. Unknown distress vessel detected. Drifting. No life signs. Team Alpha report to the docking bay. Luxor's eyes met Ben's. She didn't need telepathy to read his reaction. You think this is connected, she said. I think wandering into a ghost ship seconds after a psychic hit feels like a bad idea, he replied. But I also know you're going to insist on going. Because someone might still be alive, she said softly. Or because whatever did this might still be there. Ben sighed. Great. Exactly what I wanted. Walking voluntarily into nightmare territory, she smiled faintly. You don't have to come, Lux. You just grabbed my soul like it was a radio frequency. I'm not letting you walk in there alone. Her expression warmed fleeting. Fragile, and then they moved. The derelict vessel loomed outside the docking bay window. A massive passenger cruiser with elegant architecture frozen in darkness. Its hull was pristine, no battle scars, no impact damage. It looked untouched, which made the silence even worse. When the boarding tunnel clamped onto the cruiser, a hollow clang echoed through the ship like a funeral bell. Then exhaled slowly. Let's try not to die in the first 5 minutes. Try not to think it so loudly, Luxor murmured. Their boots hit the cruiser's floor with a hollow metallic thud. Emergency lights flickered half-heartedly, revealing tables set for meals, drink glasses still full. Personal belongings scattered as if hundreds of people had simply evaporated mid-laugh. Luxor touched a wall and flinched. Residual thoughts, she whispered. Fear, confusion, then nothing. Ben scanned the hallway ahead. Did they escape? No. Her voice was barely breath. They were taken. A cold draft swept through the ship. Impossible in a sealed environment. Ben raised his weapon. Luxor grabbed his arm. Ben, she whispered, trembling. They're still here. The deeper they moved into the silent cruiser, the colder the air felt, like the walls themselves were exhaling dread. Ben stayed ahead, weapon raised, every sense sharpened. Luxor stayed close behind, fingertips grazing his armor whenever the psychic pressure thickened. A faint metallic scrape echoed from somewhere ahead. Ben froze. Luxor's pupils tightened. They're moving, she whispered. Watching. He swallowed. From where? I don't see. A shadow peeled itself off the ceiling and melted down the wall, tall, slender. Movements too smooth to be natural. Ben stepped in front of Luxor instantly. The shadow didn't attack. It recoiled, as if studying him. It's reading us, Luxor said, voice shaking, trying to decide which one is worth taking. Well, it can't have either, Ben muttered. Tell it to try again on a day when I'm not armed and annoyed. Before Luxor could respond, a sharp beep crackled in Ben's comm. Lieutenant, Captain Rellis said, voice strained. Return immediately. We've detected an internal breach on our ship. Ben and Luxor exchanged a look. Breach? Ben asked. How? We sealed the bay. Rellis hesitated. Because someone opened it from the inside. Luxor's breath hitched. Someone betrayed us. The shadow figure tilted its head as if pleased by the revelation, then dissolved into the floor lake. Spilled ink. It wasn't pursuing them anymore. It was going after. Hurt, they sprinted back toward the boarding tube. boots pounding through empty corridors. Ben could hear Luxura's breaths turning sharp, uneven, not from the run, but from something tearing at her mind. "They're calling to me," she gasped, using the traitor's signal as a beacon. "Fight it," Ben urged, grabbing her hand. "Stay with me." The docking bay exploded with chaos when they arrived. Smoke filled the air. Crew lay stunned on the floor, knocked out by psychic blasts. Figures in sleek dark armor moved through the haze ascendants. One of them seized Luxara with a telepathic snare, lifting her off her feet without touching her. Ben fired, but his shots bent midair, redirected as if gravity had turned sideways. The Ascendant's voice echoed inside their heads. "She is the resonant one. The human is irrelevant." No. Ben lunged forward, but another psychic force slammed him to the floor, pinning him like an insect. Luxara screamed, not in pain, but as a desperate warning. "Ben, don't let them separate us." The Ascendants tightened their mental grip, pulling her away inch by inch. Ben forced himself upright, muscles trembling. "Let her go." The lead Ascendant turned, her cold eyes narrowing. "Very well," it said. "If you want her, then you will share her fate." A surge of psychic energy burst outward, binding their minds together, and a violent, forced connection neither of them fully understood. Everything went white. Ben hit the ground hard, but the pain wasn't physical. It was inside his head, a violent surge of light and noise tearing through his thoughts. He tasted metal, heard echoes that didn't belong to him, felt emotions too complex to be his own. Luxura's memories collided with his, fragments of her childhood, her training, her fear, flooding him like a tidal wave. He forced his eyes open. Luxara hung suspended in a sphere of shimmering psychic energy, body rigid, face pale. The Ascendants surrounded her like priests at a ritual, weaving invisible threads around her mind. Ben staggered to his knees. "Stop, you're killing her." The lead Ascendant didn't even look at him. "Her mind adapts. Yours does not. Human structure is too fragile. Then why am I still standing?" Ben growled. A beat of silence. The Ascendant finally turned, and for the first time, he looked unsettled. Luxura's voice whispered through Ben's mind, faint but urgent. "Then they miscalculated. You're resisting them. Use it." He clenched his fists. He didn't know what he was doing, but the connection between them was real, alive, and pulsing with shared will. Ben stepped forward. The psychic field rippled, bending around him like an unseen current. The Ascendants recoiled. Impossible. Luxura's consciousness flared inside him. Push back. Ben focused not on the pain, but on her. Her laugh, her stubbornness, her warmth. All the small pieces he had grown to care about in a matter of hours. He held onto her presence like a lifeline and shoved against the pressure crushing them. A shockwave blasted outward. Ascendant slammed into the walls, stunned. The containment shield cracked, then shattered like glass. Luxara fell, and Ben caught her mid-collapse, pulling her against him. Her voice trembled. "I thought you wouldn't reach me. You kidding?" He whispered. "I'd fight an entire galaxy for you." Alarms blared. Their ship was destabilizing under the psychic clash. Ben lifted Luxara in his arms and sprinted toward the evacuation chutes. Behind them, the Ascendant ship shook violently. Systems failing. A final psychic voice chased them. "You cannot outrun what you have become." He didn't look back. Minutes later, aboard the Aurora's Mercy, medics swarmed Luxara while Ben refused to leave her side. Her hand found his, fingers weak but deliberate. Their minds were still linked, not forcibly now, but naturally. Like to halves adjusting to being whole. Luxara exhaled softly. "We're connected." Permanently. Ben squeezed her hand. "Good. Makes it harder for you to ignore me." She smiled. "Tired, beautiful, genuine. You really are impossible. And you," he said quietly, brushing a strand of copper hair from her face, "are worth all of this." The ship sped away from Ascendant space, leaving behind ruins, enemies, and the first spark of something neither of them had expected. Two minds, one bond. A future neither could have faced alone. And as the Aurora's Mercy vanished into safer space, one truth remained unshakable. Ben and Luxara were no longer just allies, not just survivors, but two minds bound by fate, power, and a connection no enemy could ever break. Their story wasn't ending. It was only beginning.